Wright, Brandon Marshall, Kevin Wilds, and I just have to say before we start this morning, we as a team have been really good about predicting things the last couple of weeks, months, years, whatever. Nick, you were all over Clayton Kershaw. Brandon, you said the Steelers were going to be great out of the gate. Wilds, that blazer looks fantastic on you, buddy. And I have been on the Cleveland Browns for a super long time. And that is where we start this morning because I think...
I don't give a damn what they say. It's within this building. We know we can be better. I know I can be better. And that's how it's going to be handled. The outside noise doesn't matter. They get paid to talk. We get paid to do our work. So that's how it's going to be handled.
Brandon, so when it comes to the Browns, there's a lot of big stars on this team, and because of that, they get a lot of attention. Are the Browns, would you say, criticized too much or not enough?
Jen, I would say that the Browns are criticized too little. You got to think about this. When's the last time we talked about the Jacksonville Jaguars? Like, why don't we talk about the Jacksonville Jaguars? Because they don't do anything. They haven't earned it. That's the only reason why the Cleveland Browns are even part of a discussion is because of who they have. Now, this year, they have earned a little bit of airtime. You know, they started off 4-1, first time they did that in a very long time. Last time they had a winning season was in 2007. So I think they're criticized too little. You know, this team needs to earn it. You know, there's a lot of organizations out there that's been suffering for a long time. They're one of them. And I don't think you deserve to have, you know, any type of airtime, Nick.
Well, Brandon, there's only 7 teams in the whole league that have a better record than Cleveland. 7. There's 4 teams in the AFC that have a better record than them. Unfortunately, 2 of them are in their division, and that's who their 2 losses have come against. I am on the totally opposite side of this. I think this year, the Browns have been criticized and critiqued and broken down far too much. I understood the criticism last year when folks were saying, could they be a dark horse Super Bowl contender? And Baker was kind of talking out of both sides of his mouth, and they fell flat on their face. Baker has done everything off the field this year his critics asked him to do. He has not given any sound bites. We asked him last year not to care about the outside noise. He literally just said yesterday, I don't care about the outside noise. And nobody was picking them to go to the Super Bowl. So 4-2 is not like they've underachieved. So I feel like there are some people that don't like Baker and don't like Odell. And so what we'll do is they get their teeth kicked in by the Ravens in week 1, and we'll pretend like we don't know the Ravens are going to be awesome, and we'll break them down about it. Then they win every football game they play for a month, and they don't show up on the show. Then they get beat down by another great team, and we're finding a way to pick at them. Like, they're not the Jags. They're 4-2.
So who are they?
They're a playoff team right now.
So who are they? So who are they? Are they a good team? Win. A bad team? Or...
Yeah. They're a good team that's not a Super Bowl contender, which is what I think that's not underachieving for them. No. How are they dysfunctional?
I just think for me, it's just a lot of dysfunction. Why? Because it's a roller coaster, and in NFL, you can't be on a roller coaster. Look at the Patriots and look at Cam Newton. They get beat by the Denver Broncos. And what did Cam Newton come in and say in his next press conference? Look, man, sometimes it rains, sometimes it pours. You know, I'm gonna bring in my umbrella and I'm gonna come to work. With these guys, it's like, I don't care about this, I don't care about that. Why don't you just come in and say, look, we're just here to play ball and be done with it. That's what the good teams
exactly what he said. What could he have said there? He's asked about the outside noise. What do you want him to say?
It's not. I'm talking about the organization as a whole. For Baker Mayfield, we're specifically talking about Baker. For me, it's about just getting your job done. There's only 2 other quarterbacks in the NFL that's thrown multiple interceptions in the last 3 years. There's Jameis Winston and there's Phillip Rivers, and then there's Baker Mayfield. So for me, when I'm talking about Baker, I don't mind the off the field stuff. I don't mind the commercials. The thing for me is get your job done. That's what I want. Yeah. Odell, that's a whole nother topic, and I know we can dive into that a little bit later, but this Cleveland Browns organization, you're not a winner. You have not won.
Brandon, let's dive into it right now. Odell, like Baker, was also pulled from that Steelers game. He also chimed in on the critics yesterday. Critics who didn't like that Odell took his shoes off on the sideline after he was pulled. He was also seen yelling at fans. Let's take a listen to what Odell had to say about it.
I'm pissed, and at this point, I really don't care to keep trying to make myself look like a good guy into the world and all that, because I am who I am. I got pulled out of the game. The coach said this was the best decision. You know, it's 8 minutes left. And for me, I'd rather take my ass whooping like a man. I'd rather take my win the same way. I want to be out there to the last whistle competing. I'm kind of over, trying to play the right thing because, I love them to death, but there's people who have plenty of rings and consider the GOAT, and they do things on the sideline, and other people do things on the sideline and they get away with it, and it's classified as passion because they may have something behind their legacy or whatever it is. And to me, bro, we love it so much. It means that much.
Brandon, to your point, maybe Odell doesn't have to come out and allude to comments about Tom Brady, the greatest to ever play the game. Maybe he could just stop before he got to the Brady part. But what was your reaction to what Odell had to say?
I mean, he's right. When he talks about the GOAT and, there being a double standard, that's definitely true. But the reality when it comes to Odell is there are some emotional issues there. And I want to use my personal story to kind of highlight what I'm talking about. I see a guy that is conflicted. I see a guy, and I played with Odell. Absolutely love him. Think he's probably the greatest athlete I've ever been around. He was fun to be around every single day in the locker room. But he's conflicted because he's an emotional guy. And for me, my story is this. I knew that the things that made me great also made me weak. But it took me 5 years to understand that. I was on the campus of McLean Hospital in an outpatient program taking dialectical behavior therapy, mentalization therapy, self-assessment, cognitive behavior therapy to learn how to cope and manage different emotions. So for Odell, I think when he realizes that emotion that he feels that makes him great, that makes him probably one of the most prolific pass catcher that the NFL has ever seen, also holds him down, that also is a hindrance to his chase to greatness, that's when we're going to see the best Odell. I always thought this when we were playing in New York. I was like, man, if this guy can eliminate some of the distractions that he caused him on his own self, how much better can he be? I would like to see Odell go to a whole nother level. He is progressing. Odell, when you look at the sideline antics, he's so much better than where he was. But I don't want to hear him say, well, I don't care about this. I don't care. Just come in and just do what you need to do. Odell is someone who's super passionate about football. He knows who he is, but he's trying to figure out how does this fit within a team, within this world. And I think once he figures that out, he'll go to a whole nother level and he'll be fine.
Look, I'll take you behind the curtain a little bit. When we saw this video of Odell walking around with his socks off or shoes off, I was like, hey, should we do this story? And Brandon in the meeting a few days ago was like, nah, those cleats are super uncomfortable. I'd take mine off. It's a non-story. So, and that's why we didn't do it. We didn't make a big deal of it. Now, unfortunately, everyone in the media doesn't have a Brandon Marshall on their pre-show calls to be like, no, don't do this story. So I think there's a lack of just knowledge from the media because of like, hey, if everyone had you, Brandon, I feel like the Odell sort of hysteria would be tamped down.
Wild, I think you're being too generous. Folks don't like him, so they pick on him. No. I'd love to talk to someone who played with him, who knows him like I do, that says Odell's a bad guy. Yeah. But every teammate of his we've ever talked to has gone from great teammate, passionate about winning, all the way to I literally let him babysit my infant child. So we just ignore that, and we're like, you know what? We don't like him. And as I predicted on Monday, Aaron Rodgers is going to get more of a pass for the pump celebration in a loss where they get dog walked than Odell is going to get for taking his cleats off after the game has been decided and he's been taken out of the game. Because we're just not fair about this stuff. Baker just gave a quote exactly like we demanded he give all year last year. And the question is, why don't we criticize them more? Well, I don't know, because they have the 8th best record in the NFL, and they're actually slightly exceeding expectations this year. That might be why.